Friends, if you want to watch super hit movie Woman of the Hour in English, then you must like this video. If you are visiting our channel for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Friends, in today's video, the movie we're going to talk about is called Woman of the Hour. We will talk about what this movie is and where you can watch it, all the interesting facts about this movie in today's video. I am going to tell you, I am also going to give you all the information on which OT platform or on which satellite channel you will get to watch this movie. Also, we will talk in detail about the technical department, music department, pre-production filming, post-production, budget, box office collection of this film. We will also talk about the story of this film, and I will also give you a small review of the story of this film. Apart from this, we will discuss about the facts of this film's storyline, star cast, actors' performance in the film, and which character has played which role. That's why I request you friends to watch this video till the end. So let's start the video. Woman of the Hour is a 2023 American crime thriller film directed by Kendrick and her directorial debut and written by Ian McDonald. It is based on the life of serial killer Rodney Alcala, who in 1978 appeared on the television show The Dating Game in the midst of his murder spree. The film revolves around the events of the game show and stars Kendrick as contestant Cheryl Bradshaw. It also stars Daniel Zovatto as Alcala, along with Nicolette Robinson and Tony Hale. At the time of the show, Alcala had murdered at least 5 women, and his appearance on the episode later earned him the nickname, the Dating Game Killer. Woman of the Hour premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 8, 2023, and was released by Netflix on October 18, 2024. Plot: in 1977, Wyoming, serial killer Rodney Alcala takes photos of a woman in the plains. After he gets the woman to open up about her painful breakup with an ex-boyfriend, he strangles her. He revives her, then strangles her to death. In 1979, in the city of San Gabriel, Amy is a young runaway who lives on the streets and steals occasionally. Rodney spots her sitting at a motel and claims that he can take photos of her and she can launch a career as a model. She agrees to accompany him as he drives to an isolated location. In a desert during sunset, Rodney proceeds to photograph Amy, then ambushes her. In 1971, New York City, Charlie is a flight attendant who is moving into a new apartment. She sees Rodney taking photos across the street and asks him to help her move furniture into her home. After helping her, Rodney assaults and kills Charlie. In 1978, Los Angeles, Cheryl Bradshaw is an aspiring actress going on auditions. Her agent Helen coaxes her to appear as a contestant on the TV show The Dating Game, telling her it might lead to her big break. Cheryl thinks going on the show is beneath her, but her friend Terry reasons it is a good opportunity for the workaholic Cheryl to meet potential suitors. She shows up at the studio to film the episode and is prepped to go on camera. The show goes live, and the 3 bachelors, who are hidden from Cheryl's view behind a partition, are displayed to the camera. Bachelor number 3 is revealed to be Rodney. Laura, a member of the audience, recognizes Rodney as the man she saw with her friend Allison, who was later found murdered at the beach. Uncomfortable, she goes to her car and tells her boyfriend Ken her suspicions about Bachelor number 3, but he dismisses her concerns, reassuring her she could be mistaken and that the contestants are likely vetted by producers. She goes to the security guard on the show and asks if she can speak to a producer, but he falsely directs her to the janitor instead. As the show goes on, Cheryl decides to go off script because she feels the written questions she is supposed to ask the bachelors are sexist and insulting. She asks tougher questions, dropping names like Einstein and Kant and asking for the difference between a boy and a man. Rodney is able to make a good impression after the first 2 bumbling bachelors, and he ends up winning the date, with the prize being tickets to visit Carmel with Cheryl. After the filming, Rodney takes Cheryl out for drinks. He tries to ingratiate himself to her by showing familiarity with plays she talks about, but he also makes her uneasy by requesting more drinks. When Cheryl walks back to her car at the studio, Rodney insists on walking with her. He asks for her number but realizes it is fake. When he threateningly whispers at her, she anxiously races to get inside her car and is nearly attacked by Rodney in the deserted parking lot. At this point, however, a group of people exit the studio. Rodney walks away, and she manages to escape. Back in 1979, San Gabriel, a bound, bloodied, Partially nude, Amy wakes up in the desert next to Rodney. Rodney is crying, and Amy acts as if she is embarrassed by the situation to get him to trust her. She convinces him to remove her restraints and go back to his place. When they stop at a gas station, she runs away. Cops appear and arrest Rodney. A postscript states that after Rodney's arrest, he was released on bail while awaiting trial, after which he murdered a woman and a young girl. He was rearrested in 1979. In 2010, he had a chance at acquittal, but the runaway, now an adult, testified against him. Sometime after her dating game appearance, Cheryl left California to live a private life and raise a family. Rodney died in prison. Cast Anna Kendrick as Cheryl Bradshaw, Daniel Zovatto as Rodney Alcala, Nicolette Robinson as Laura, Tony Hale as Ed Burke based on Jim Lang, Pete Holmes as Terry Autumn, Best as Amy based on Monique Hoyt, Catherine Gallagher as Charlie Kelly, Jackal as Sarah Matt Visser, as Bachelor Jadiah Goodacre, as Bachelor Jesse Fraser, as Lisa Taylor Hastings, as Melanie Dillon Schmid, as Mario Max Lloyd Jones as Ken, Jessica Chaffin as Helen Darcy Laurie, as Marty Production. In December 2017, Ian McAllister McDonald's screenplay Rodney and Cheryl was featured on the Black List, an annual survey of the most popular scripts yet to be produced. In May 2021, Netflix announced it had bought a package around McDonald's script with Chloe Okuno on board as director and Anna Kendrick attached to star. In April 2022, with Netflix no longer attached, the film was sold at the Cannes Film Festival. Kendrick was now on board as director and producer, as well as appearing as Cheryl Bradshaw, and the working title of the project became The Dating Game. In December 2022, a producer sued another producer for alleged fraud and breach of contract. The Dating Game was one of 3 films mentioned in the lawsuit. Principal photography took place in Vancouver with Zach Cooperstein as cinematographer from October to December 2022. Release: Woman of the Hour, premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 8, 2023, with Kendrick and the cast unable to attend due to the 2023 SAG-AFTRA strike. Shortly after, Netflix, which was to distribute the film worldwide early in its development, reacquired distribution rights to the United States, as well as some international territories, for $11 million. The film was released on the streamer on October 18, 2024. Critical response. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 91% of 93 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of 7.6/10. The website's consensus reads, "Deftly directed by star Anna Kendrick, Woman of the Hour uses an incredible true story as the foundation for a powerful examination of the intersection between systemic misogyny and violence." Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 74 out of 100, based on 23 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. Woman of the Hour. It's been a year since I first saw Woman of the Hour, Anna Kendrick's directorial debut, at its world premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival in 2023. It still haunts me. Written by Ian McDonald, the film is inspired by the true story of how serial rapist and killer Rodney Alcala appeared on The Dating Game in 1978. Not only does Kendrick give a typically intelligent and spunky performance as Cheryl, an aspiring actress and the contestant who matched with him on that fateful day, but as a director, she shows a keen curiosity about the power of the gaze, both cinematic and human. "You're beautiful," Alcala says to all of his victims, mostly women on the margins of society. He is a photographer. He knows the power of his gaze, of his camera. Kendrick begins her film with a victim who was murdered in 1977. We hear her off-screen before we see her. The first image of her is framed within Alcala's lens. "Try to forget there is a camera here," he tells her. Kendrick then focuses her lens on Alcala's face, actor Daniel Zovatto's eyes masquerading as open pools of empathy, the tool with which he lulls women into a false sense of safety. When he shifts to predator mode, an overwhelming cruelty overtakes his eyes. Kendrick holds on his face, allowing the shift to happen before our eyes, placing us directly in the psyche of his victims. Later in the film, Alcala and Cheryl go out for drinks. The date is not going well. Cheryl's laughter has caused a change in the seemingly charming bachelor. In recovery mode, she says she doesn't date much. He notes the irony of her going on a dating show. My agent said it would get me seen, she says. Did you feel seen? He asks. The camera frames both in close-ups, framing the conversation as a duel. I felt looked at, she admits. How do you feel right now? He pushes. Fine, she says despite her visible discomfort. Fine, he mockingly replies. There's a menacing pause, then he continues. You know, most people don't like to be seen. They're afraid, because you have to be comfortable with yourself. You have to stop performing. Every woman in Kendrick's film has a moment where she must play nice to get through a situation. Cheryl has to navigate this kind of performance many times throughout the film. Take, for instance, the moment when game show host Ed Burke, Tony Hale, perfectly underplaying the sleaze, enters Cheryl's dressing room, spouting a deluge of casual misogyny and racism before telling Cheryl not to scare off the bachelors with her intelligence. He tells her she should just smile and laugh, exactly as she did in another scene where two men at a casting call openly debate her physical worth in front of her. Just as she does when rebuffing the advances of neighbor fellow aspiring actor Terry, Pete Holmes, over drinks. Just as Amy, Autumn Best, a firecracker, a teenage runaway whose escape from Alcala ultimately led to his arrest, also uses a smile and a laugh to survive her violent encounter with him. As the game show wraps, Cheryl asks if she went too far in changing the questions, effectively turning the whole misogynistic enterprise on its head. Her makeup lady assures her she did not. No matter what words they use, the question beneath the question remains the same, she insists. What's the question? Cheryl asks. Which one of you will hurt me? The woman answers. This question remains at the heart of Kendrick's film, as it does with most women going through life in a world that often does not protect them from men's violence. I knew he was risky, but fuck it. Everyone's risky, says one of the victims describing her ex-partner to Alcala as he photographs her mere minutes before violently murdering her. The film's examination of the power of being seen, and specifically being understood through the act of being seen, is most effective in three mirrored instances. During the filming of the game show, a woman named Laura, Nicolette Robinson, who plays the role like an exposed nerve, has a visceral reaction when Alcala is revealed as one of the bachelors. She is convinced he is the man who killed her friend in Malibu the previous year. As she hastily exits the studio, she knocks over a monitor. During the commotion, the women lock eyes, but the blinding lights prevent Cheryl from receiving the message in Laura's eyes. Later, on her date with Alcala, he tries to order a second round of drinks. Cheryl locks eyes with the cocktail waitress, nodding a desperate no. The message is received, and the woman says they're closed for the night. Towards the film's end, Amy, trapped in Alcala's car, locks eyes with a man in a truck when they're stopped at a crossroads. Her eyes transmit an urgent plea for help, but the man in the truck looks right through her as he carries on his way. There is a universal language in looks exchanged between women, especially when a dangerous man is present. I don't know any woman who hasn't had an experience like this, although, unfortunately, these situations don't always end in rescue. As I watched the film, I remembered a night in my 20s when I organized a dinner with an older man, a professional acquaintance. He often gave off strange vibes, but I was young and ambitious. I thought having friends at the dinner would protect me. But one by one, my friends peeled off. They didn't pick up on the message I was transmitting through my gaze. I got out of the situation before it turned too dark, but boundaries were crossed when I was finally alone with the man, and I have never felt more unsafe in my life. This is a feeling Kendrick knows all too well, as she uses every cinematic tool at her disposal to express it. Comparisons to David Fincher's Zodiac are bound to be made, and that would be fair, at least on a surface level. Kendrick has made a slick 70s set thriller about a serial killer whose reign of terror lasted a decade. Fincher's film is about the men whose lives got wrapped up in trying to solve the mystery of who the Zodiac was and the toll this obsession took on their lives. Kendrick's film uses Alcala to critique the society that enabled him. It's about how society normalizes violence against women through seemingly innocuous sexism and misogyny, which ultimately paves the way for escalated violence. The visual language could be seen as a critique even of Zodiac and the true crime films it spawned. which often seem to revel in recreating this violence. Although we get glimpses of Alcala's brutal attacks, Kendrick films them either at a distance or in extreme close-ups, minimizing and obscuring them. She builds tension in these scenes through a soundtrack of ambient noises, birds chirping in the wind, the hum of fluorescent lights, and traffic in the streets. Before the violence becomes scintillating or exploitative, she abruptly cuts away, making sure the viewer is aware of their own voyeurism, which she has the power to deny. Instead, she lingers on everyday moments of menace. The many times men touch Cheryl's neck or hair without her permission. The way Laura's boyfriend immediately doubts and then questions what she knows to be true in bones. The way the cops are charmed by Alcala and let him go, with a laugh and a smile. Halfway through filming her episode of The Dating Game, the makeup artist tells Cheryl, "You're supposed to be having fun. That's the whole point. Say whatever you want." Wouldn't it be nice if life were that simple and that safe? Last year's Toronto Film Festival was notable for several factors. A red carpet stripped bare of glitz by the U.S. actors' strike was one. Another was a crop of feature filmmaking debuts from well-known actors turned directors. The quality was wildly variable. Don't expect to see Chris Pine's first feature, Pool Man, released anytime soon. But Anna Kendrick's 70s California set true crime thriller, Woman of the Hour, was a standout. Kendrick also stars in the film as Cheryl, an out-of-work actor persuaded by her agent to appear on a popular TV show, The Dating Game. A fellow contestant on the show, the one she picks as her date, is Rodney Alcala, Daniel Zovatto, a quick-witted charmer who, the film's deft nonlinear structure reveals, also happens to be a serial rapist and murderer. Kendrick's knack for capturing period detail goes beyond the psychedelic synthetics and kipper ties. She taps into the treacherous sexism that was hardwired into the entertainment industry and wider culture of the time, both of which are shown to be minefields of fragile male egos and potential violence. There will likely be those who roll credits on Woman of the Hour with a sense of relief that the real-life events depicted in actress Anna Kendrick's directorial debut took place well over 40 years ago. It was a different time, these people will claim. Things have changed a lot since then. Chances are, this response won't be coming from any women in the audience, though. Because while Woman of the Hour may be set in the 1970s, it's a timelessly relevant look at how women's boundaries are often trampled, or said women simply aren't listened to, with horrific consequences. Bouncing back and forth over the decade in question, the action of true crime thriller Woman of the Hour is anchored by a hard-to-believe event. The time that serial killer Rodney Alcala, played by Daniel Zovatto, was so arrogant about his chance of being caught that he appeared on a popular TV dating show in the middle of one of his rape and murder sprees. In that particular episode of The Dating Game, aspiring actress Cheryl Bradshaw, Kendrick, had to choose between Alcala and two other bachelors who trailed behind the sociopath in eloquence, smarts, and charm. Even if you don't know how events played out in reality, there's a strong sense that Woman of the Hour, written by Ian MacDonald, avoids sensationalism. Then again, it doesn't need to exaggerate or go off script. Simply by holding up a mirror to women's everyday anxieties, the film is an uncomfortable and frequently chilling watch. It's also a thematically dense 94 minutes, proving Pitch Perfect star Kendrick to be a sensitive and insightful filmmaker as she explores the subject matter with nuance. At the same time, she stops just short of showing the crimes in graphic detail for anyone triggered by depictions of gender-based violence. As a side note, it's interesting that we've already seen Zoe Kravitz achieve something similar this year with Blink Twice. There, the actress turned director and screenwriter also used a thriller to explore the grimmest side of female experience with razor sharpness. Like Kravitz, Kendrick makes similarly smart decisions in Woman of the Hour, although with little of Blink Twice's humor, for obvious reasons. Primarily, the new film spotlights how predators exploit women's societal conditioning to be nice and accommodating, encouraging them to push down their discomfort and wants to please others, typically men. Parallel to this, Alcala is given moments of screen time to express panic and tearfulness. That may seem like a strange, sympathetic choice for a figure who would strangle women, then revive them to torture them some more. But it ensures he remains human in the eyes of the audience. He's no icy Michael Myers boogeyman. In fact, Alcala appears as just one step away from the men who objectify Cheryl, who touch her without consent and emotionally manipulate her into a state of demure compliance. And these are the good, socially upstanding guys. Coming across like a younger Vincent D'Onofrio due to his imposing physical presence and quick-to-activate sense of menace, Zovatto does excellent work. That applies to the cast of Woman of the Hour across the board, though, with a particular standout being newcomer Autumn Best as Amy, a spirited runaway that Alcala pursues. On that note, this isn't a movie centered on the male killer. Woman of the Hour devotes time to each of Alcala's victims, or rather the ones singled out for the film. Having positioned himself as a sensitive photographer, Alcala prompts his targets to tell their life story, to share their dreams and ambitions. While he will callously snuff out their futures, it does mean viewers see these women as real people, as opposed to simply a statistic. Photos on a true crime website or a name dropped in a podcast with no further context. Even if they only appear for 5 minutes, Kendrick ensures each victim gets their chance to be a woman of the hour. They deserve it after what was taken from them. Importantly, there is also no victim shaming. Woman of the Hour acknowledges what women must do to survive. It would have been easy to present female assertiveness as a solution in every scene, but that isn't the case in Kendrick's film. Demonstrations of confidence and decisive action may lead to positive outcomes for some characters, but that isn't the case for everyone. Some experience no change, even with loving, supportive men backing them up. On the flip side, it's one moment of apologetic submissiveness, portrayed as an act of courage, that ultimately opens the door to justice. Woman of the Hour is a powerful film, but it's absolutely not an easy watch. If you've ever crossed a dark street or parking lot, well aware of a man apparently shadowing you, or if you found yourself having to diffuse male rage armed only with a polite smile, you know what you can expect for an hour and a half here. Woman of the Hour premiered at South African cinemas on 4 October. As of 18th of October, just 2 weeks later, the film arrived on Netflix for home viewing. Woman of the Hour review. It's far from an easy watch, but Woman of the Hour is a thematically dense 94 minutes, with actress-turned-filmmaker exploring women's societal exploitation, dismissal, and survival strategies with insight and sensitivity. Some things don't really change when it comes to the negative side of female experience, and this film is a powerful indictment of that fact. Distributed by Netflix, release dates September 8, 2023 in TIFF, October 18, 2024, running time 94 minutes, country United States, language English. So guys, this is their view of Woman of the Hour movie and some information about it. How do you like our today's video? Please let us know by commenting, and if you like this video, please like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.